Okay, so this is really just kind of a chance for you to ask questions, and I'll give you a little bit of information, but I hear the 8th graders are having their own conclave. Start your own church, go for it. I think this is great. So who are the different cardinals? Who's a cardinal? I'm not gonna pick on you, big league. That many? Everybody is? Oh, cool. All right. Now I'm gonna have some fun with this. It is so neat because the cardinals. Let's see. Let me back up just a little bit. All right. So I'm a priest, right? And it's like who reports to who that gets to be wherever. So, all right, so I'm a priest, all right? Then Father Don is the pastor, okay? And then we report to the bishop of the area, who reports to the Archbishop of Chicago, who happens to be a cardinal. Now, from that level of cardinals, all right, there's representation, right, going on up. The cardinals all get together, and from amongst themselves, they vote based on what they understand to be the needs of the Church Universal. So it's not just our country wants this, or our state wants this, or anything that's small. It's, as you look at the church throughout the world, what kind of person would be the one called by the Holy Spirit to do this? And so it's not just, I know the movies like to make it into a political game, but when all's said and done, it's a prayer time. When the cardinals get together, they all start in church, okay? They start in church with the Mass of the Holy Spirit. They ask the Holy Spirit to truly guide them and help them in their deliberations. It's kind of like confirmation on steroids, okay? It's just kind of like, take that gift of the Holy Spirit and just fill it full of air, man. Just blow it up good. And so what they do, they begin in prayer. And so once they pray, then it's a kind of a fun word that we don't usually use much in English. It's called being sequestered. Easiest equivalent, time out. Look at how many heads went up over here. It's kind of like having a timeout. They're not allowed any cell phones. They're not allowed any telephones. They're not allowed any video equipment, anything. They can't even watch TV. Nothing. No computers, no anything. It's like turning the clock back 100 years. It's just them and the business at hand. And part of the reason they keep them sequestered, which means kind of by yourself, each one gets their own little room, and it's a little room, let me tell you. It's a little room, and it's just got a bed, a washstand, and they will have meals together, but basically they are alone to pray and to ask the Holy Spirit for guidance in selecting among the cardinals who's to be the new pope. Now, being good human beings, right? We all like to eat, right? And we all like good food. Now you'd think the cardinals all getting together, they'd have some really good food, because it's just them. And you know what? We're stuck over here in Rome. We may as well order out pizzas every night. Wrong. The food is really bland, is probably the best way to say it. It's just kind of bland. And the reason is you think better on an empty stomach. You got to put an incentive in this thing to not let the delegation and the deliberations go on forever because they're getting well fed and well rested. So there's an energy level to this that makes them work. You can't just loaf. You got to do something. And so as they proceed with their deliberations, they end up with kind of a list, so to speak, of who is going to be a possible new pope. And they start, if I'm not mistaken, with the first ballot, all right? So they vote twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evenings. But the first ballot is, all right, who do you think would be a good pope? Throw it in the pot. So they pass the hat and they put the votes in, and then there's 3 folks, kind of like, well, let's make it 4. Somebody has to supervise them. It'll be the 4 of you are going to count the votes, all right? You're going to find out who's got, who seemed to come up as a possibility here. And then they have this slate of candidates. And they'll talk some more about the conditions of the church. And, when they get done, when you 4 get done, then there's a special barbecue pit at one end of the Sistine Chapel. Oh, it's a cute little thing. It looks like a microwave oven, okay? It's not that big, but it has a smokestack. And so what they'll do is they'll take all those handwritten votes and they'll burn them. And the smoke goes up the chimney, and this is the one thing that you'll see, especially on TV, because they have one camera aimed at the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, because every time a vote's taken, they click on that camera to see what color smoke comes out. Now, about 20 years ago, they had a little trouble with this. The smoke didn't quite come out the way they wanted it to. So they've added a little something to it. So it'll be black smoke, no decision. White smoke, decision, okay? And so each of those ballots is burned, so there's nothing ever left. So we may have to get the fire pit out for you guys, so you can burn your ballots each time. But nonetheless, you do that, and then slowly but surely, with each election, morning and evening, those get burned accordingly, and finally, a consensus arises. Now, to be voted a pope, now you have to have 2/3 of the cardinals' agreement. None of this, 50% plus 1 stuff, because that's just asking for trouble. So they changed the rules to be 2/3, and so that's a very important piece. Now, once that's reached, then the white smoke goes up. All right, just thinking like good smoke. It's good news. There's the white smoke. And again, you can pretty much set your clock by it. In about a half an hour from the time the smoke goes up, all of a sudden, all of Rome starts showing up at St. Peter's. And I mean, they'll fill that entire piazza in front of St. Peter's and they're going to focus on like a porch, okay? Kind of like a sun deck off the top of the building. And that's where the new pope's going to show up, but nobody knows who it is yet. They haven't announced it yet. They announce it finally when they show up. And so among the cardinals, all right, so I got to kind of have some fun with you. So among the cardinals, you finally elect one of you to be the Pope. Well, there's a couple things that have to go on. First one is, you've been wearing red all your life, well, as a cardinal. Well, now you got to go get a white outfit. So they actually have a room that has a bunch of mannequins, all different sizes and shapes, because we're all different sizes and shapes, right? They got some long ones for tall people and short ones for short people, ones with a little extra fabric to them, you know? And so, but they'll have something kind of close. And while the Pope is waiting for them to stitch up whatever they need to do, he spends his time in a room called the Room of Tears. Okay, it's called the Room of Tears because if you think about it, if you're 68, 70, 75, you know what? You're looking to retire. You figure it's coming here soon. And it's like, well, there go the plans, because I got a job for the rest of my life. And that's why it's called the Room of Tears, because you're just crying because whatever plans you made, God has other plans for you, all right? And so it really is a quiet room that allows the Pope to just wrap his head around the fact that all the rest of his brother cardinals elected him. So then he's now in the white outfit, and now they're going to bring him out and up on that sun deck up there, on that porch, and present him to the world. And they don't present him by his original name. They present him with his new name. So when you get to be Pope, you get to change your name. I always figured if they were ever dumb enough to make me Pope, okay? If they were ever dumb enough to make me Pope, I would pick the name of Thomas. Not because it's my name, but because you think about it, doubting Thomas. And so much of the world doubts along the way. And yet, even Thomas, with his doubting, the Lord showed his mercy and his kindness along the way. But it's like that, and that's why Pope Francis picked that name, Francis, because he liked St. Francis and all that goes with that. And he showed it in the course of his ministry. So, all right, so that's kind of the big overview. And then all the celebrations begin and the big mass and the installation, all that kind of good stuff. So, I know I had a lot to say there, but what kind of questions are kind of stuck in your head at this moment? And all I'm going to do is ask you to put your hand up, and I'm going to use this because this is being recorded, okay? So that way your voice will end up on there. So, what kind of questions might you have? Anywhere, and I'll come find you, okay? Yes, sir.
How old do you have to be Pope?
How old do you have to be? It's probably easier to do it the other way around. Well, no. It's a great question. You have to be over 35. Okay, you have to be over 35, and that's pretty much it. But the ones who elect the Pope are all under the age of 80. You can vote up until the time you're 80. After that, you simply can watch the proceedings. Okay? Hang on, let's go over here. Yes, sir.
Who is the oldest candidate for Pope?
Currently? I have no idea. I have no idea. Yes, what was your question?
You have to accept
Oh, do you have to accept to be Pope? Yes. Yes. And it's like, sometimes that's a real hard yes, you know? And if somebody's got a real issue going, sometimes they'll reconsider. Yes? Has anyone ever said no? I'm sure they have, but we'll never know. Because it's all secret. Yes?
Vote on being Pope?
Yes. You have to vote on being Pope. Yes. Yes.
Why do people wear black at funerals?
Why do people wear black at funerals? Because usually black is a somber color, right? As opposed to something nice and pink and pretty, you know? And you wear black because you're sad for losing whoever's there. That's pretty much it. Yes, ma'am.
How old was Pope Francis when he died?
88. He was 88 years old.
How old was Pope Francis when he became the Pope?
75. 75, yeah, because he was in for 13 years. Let's see, what do we have back here? All right. Yeah.
Who was the oldest pope?
That's a very good question. I mean, we've had some pretty old ones along the way. I don't think any of them ever hit 100, okay?
How did they turn the smoke white when they...
Oh, how do they turn the smoke right? There's a little, it's like a little chemical they throw in. It's a powder, and so it's either like black powder or it's white powder, and it does its thing. Yes, ma'am.
How many years has Pope Francis been a pope?
13. So actually, for all of you, including the 8th graders, he's been Pope as long as you've been alive. So this is your first chance to see the transition that goes on there. Let's see somebody back over here, just for kicks.
How many popes have there ever been?
I don't know the exact number, but I want to say 278. That's why I said there was less than 300 of them in the last 2,000 years.
If you're a cardinal, can you vote for yourself for pope?
I would think so. You can vote for yourself, yes. Sometimes it's a little tacky, but yes.
Do you have to be born into a Catholic family to be Pope?
Do you have to be born into a Catholic family to be Pope? No. No, you just simply need to be Catholic and preferably a bishop, but not absolutely. Yes?
Do you have to be a male to be the pope?
Do you have to be a what?
A male?
Do you have to be a male to be the Pope? Yes. At this point, yes.
What pope was the pope for longest?
Who was the Pope for the longest? That's between two guys. So John Paul II, okay, which was before you were born, who was the most recent one and a recent saint. The other was Pope Leo, one of the Leos along the way. Yes, sir.
Who was the first ever pope?
First ever Pope was Peter, Simon Peter. We heard about him today in the gospel. And also in the first reading, because he was the one who got out there and started telling people about what Jesus did. Okay? So, I'm going to just kind of cut it at this point for the video stuff. And it's up to the teachers as to whether you need to